Okay, so we're COMP100, and it's week 4, lesson 4, part 3. And I want to do a small survey for you guys to see what you guys think. See if I can run this thing with you guys, this little poll. And we're going to maximize this thing to make it big. And here's your first question. All right, so again, if you remember the survey, the way it works is you can use your phone and text learn to 37607 and then pick A, B, C, or D, or you can go to pollev.com/learn and then press A, B, C, or D. And the question is, a blank is a named location in computer memory that can hold different values at different points in time. A blank is a named location in computer memory that can hold different values at different points in time. So I've got one person that says it's a variable. Two people. Okay, almost all of us. We have one more person in the room, and the other person's on the phone. So we're not gonna wait for him. 4 people. So all of you are right. So it's correct. So a variable is a named location in computer memory that can hold different values at different points in time. So that's the key thing here. So when we talk variable, it holds different values. It can actually, we can change the variable. That's what it's called variable, because it varies, right? A constant isn't like that at all. It's something that cannot change.
Is the first question?
It is. I'm moving, man. You have to look at the video now. A blank consists of a pair of curly braces containing a number that indicates the desired variable's position in a list that follows the string. A format string. B, white space. C, namespace. D, placeholder. Which one is it? So far, 3 of you think it's a placeholder. I got 4. I got one more person now that they came back. He came back from his phone call. That was so urgent. We got 5. You're all correct. This is good. This is a good ratio of correctness. Let's talk about this. So placeholder does consist of a pair of curly braces containing a number, and that number is the index. So if I have more than one thing to replace in the string, the number will go up. It'll go from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 and to whatever, right? That's the first thing. And we call this string interpolation, all right? String interpolation. Here's the next one. You declare a Boolean variable by using type blank. A, char or char, B, bool, C, int, D, boolean. We got one person that says bool. Got 2 bools, 1 boolean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come on. Got 4. One more person. One more person. You guys all answer? No. There we go. We will stop and let me talk about this. It is a Boolean, right? Here, it's called a Boolean, but in C# we use the bool keyword, right? So this is the one. Don't worry, even if you're wrong, this is the best time to be wrong, right? Because we're not doing a test. This is just a question, right? So and this is a good way of memorizing it. Bool is the keyword, and actually, if you start typing it up in C#, it'll pull up the right one. Okay. I think I got like one more for you. The equal sign equals is the C# assignment operator. True or false? True. It's pretty simple. True or false? Actually, the true or false questions to me are the more harder ones, right? Because you have 50% chance to get it wrong, right? Or you can look at it the other way. The cup is half full, and you have 50% chance to get it right, right? Anyways, I'll stop it there for the people that are not answering because they're busy. And, oh, there we go, 5. It's definitely not false, right? The equal sign is the C# assignment operator. Silly people. And it's very simple. It's when we say equals, it's the assignment operator. There's different kinds of operators we're going to be talking about. The plus operator, the minus operator, the times operator. These are all different operators that we're going to be using for our when we do operations in C. Okay, this is pretty cool. And that's the last one. No. Oh, for me to do these polls? For me to do the polls, I have to have an account. For you to do the polls, you do not have to have an account. It's not about that at all. It's about you just answer the poll. Okay, so that's that question. Again, I'm just taking it from a list of questions that I have, right? Some of them that I give you, I'm going to put on the test, right? Some of them I've given you, they won't be on the test, right? And I'll give you other ones that I will put on the test that you haven't seen, right? So you're going to get some of them right. If you follow, if you come into class all the time, you look at the videos, you try and answer the questions, but it's better to try and, instead of doing what you're doing, it's better to try and understand what it means.
I will.
Because you only have a limited time. It doesn't matter. You won't be able to look it up like this. It won't happen. So I'll give you like 20 questions and you'll have like 10 minutes. I like your thinking. Formatting floating point values. So we talked about how we can format integer values or string values. But what we need to do sometimes is use a different format specifier for precision. So an example would be this. X is the format specifier and 0 is the precision specifier. How many zeros I have. Let's take a look at some examples. So here's the format character for currency. If I want to make a $ appear, I want a C character to come out. Capital C or lowercase c for currency. If I use the D format character, right, in my string, capital D or lowercase d, it's a decimal. E for scientific notation, F for fixed point, floating point, G for general, right, and so on. Number, percent, P for percent, R for round trip, different kind of thing altogether, X for hexadecimal. All right. Here's our first arithmetic operators, operators. Okay, there's a couple of them we're going to talk about. Binary operators, right? They use 2 values, and the values are called operands, right? You're going to hear these things in mathematics as well, right? Binary operators. And the way it works is we use operator precedence, right, to kind of put together rules. Remember how it was? It's in math. It was called bedmess, right? Brackets, exponents, and so on. Division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Well, in the same way, we use the same kind of operator precedent here in computers. And it says rules that determine in order which parts of mathematical expression are evaluated. And the brackets help us, the parentheses help us isolate things. So here's an example. The plus and the minus operator, they happen after the multiplication and division operator. There's also another operator we've never seen, and we don't see this in math. It looks like a percentage operator, but what it actually is called the modulus, or the remainder, right? And what we do is we take the remainder of the result. It's like we're dividing, like 45 divided by 2, right? These are 2 integer values, 45 and 2. If we divide 45 by 2, normally, if it was a floating point number, it would be 22.5. But because it's an integer, these are 2 integer values, it's now 22. The 0.5 is gone. We don't use it, right? 45% 2, this is the way it's written here, or modulus 2, right? It says how many times does 2 go into 45? Well, it goes 22 times into 45, right? And then the remainder is 1. So the answer, the result of 45% is 2 is the remainder, which is 1, not 22. Okay, 22 is the division, when you divide, and when you ask for the remainder, it's percent, and you get the remainder only. So again, those are the 5 basic arithmetic operators. Okay. There's some shortcut operators that you can use, right? And some of them are, you can add and assign an operator at the same time, right? And you can use a plus equals notation for that. Before we get to plus equals and what that means, let's do some of these regular operations. So I want to take my money and I want to add your money to it. Like this, right? Here's your money. And I want to add in $20 of your money, right? Together. And then I want to finally say the result is also a floating point number. I'm just going to do it like this so you understand how it works. Here's the result, right? And that I can do an operation like this. My money is equal to my money plus your money. See how that works? That's how you do a simple calculation in C#. You have 2 variables of floating type, and add them together to get the result variable right here, which is also a floating point. If I put the results, I can actually, let's add some output here. Console.writeLine, right? And I said your money, let's do this again how it is. Your money is, or say let's start with my money, just like we say here. My money is, and I want to use, instead of, I want to use string interpolation here. I want to use a placeholder value, right? And I'm going to add in my money, right? Just like we would normally expect me to do, right? And then I'm just to be lazy, I'm going to copy this whole line. I'm going to Control-C, Control-V, or copy and paste, right? So here's Control-C. Let's try it again. And here's Control-V, right? And now, instead of my money, it's your money. Your money. And I'll replace this variable. If I start typing, IntelliSense knows, right, what I want because I've declared your money, this variable up here. It knows that's what I want when I start typing your.
IntelliSense is so good.
It is.
It's so easy.
Right?
So
and now
intelligent.
I want to go maybe do a write line. And in there, I want to kind of put another separator, let's say, like almost like I want to, like an addition, right? And then maybe I want to put something like a plus. So my money plus your money, right? On the next line. And then is equal to, and then the final result would be
Our money.
console, it's my money again, right?
No, it's your money again.
The result, right? Result is equal to
Both our money.
result. That's the result when I add these things together, right? All right, let's check that out. So I've got just a bunch of console.writelines here. That's all I'm doing, right? And I'm adding this to this, and I'm getting this. Okay, let's check that out. So I'm going to run it. And here it is. So 1,000 plus 20 is 1,020. Hold on. Where's my digits of precision?
Where's that? Why is the other guy so broke?
Oh. Well, you tell me. You tell me why my money here is 1,000.00f, and here's 20.00f, and I'm adding them together, and I'm getting an integer. Where's my decimals? Well, that's what this formatting stuff does. It allows me to format my string value as I put it in. All right. Now, this is cool. I'm adding and subtracting and all that kind of stuff, right? But what if I want to increment the amount of money that I have? So I want to say, here's float my money, right? And I want to say something like this. I want to add to my own money. So I say my money is equal to my money, right? You can do that too. What if I say my money is equal to my money? What does that do? Does it do anything?
No.
What if I say my money is equal to my money plus 10F? What am I doing?
Then you're adding $10
To what?
to your money.
To my money, right? So
So
if
you're
I do
gonna be
that,
rich by the end of the class.
oh yeah. If I run it again, it looks like this. So $10 and 10 plus 20 is equal to 1030.
Man, I thought it was minimum wage. You know, $10 an hour. You're making $10 a minute.
Oh, I know, it's crazy, right? So this is cool, this money here. But I could also write this statement here on line 17. See this statement right here? With a shortcut. I could write it like this. My money plus equals to 10.00F,
That's so weird.
right? It means I'm taking this plus operator and adding it to the equals operator. So this line here, my money equals my money. I take the second my money away, and I use the plus equals operator to say, add $10 to my money. That's what I'm saying. And that's all I'm saying.
That's easier. But it looks weird. You don't really see plus equals beside each other a lot.
Does it make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes sense though.
Plus equals is something that you see in computer programming a lot. Okay, so I'm going to take this away to prove that.
Is there any way to make it like to add a dollar sign?
Wait. There it is. So here's my money, 110 or 1010 plus 20, the same as result last time, right?
I'm anxious, sir.
I know. What if I just want to add 1 to something? Well, there's something called an increment operator, right? So if I go my money plus plus, that also works. Well, plus plus is a special operator in C-style languages that adds 1, the actual number 1, to my money. Now, because my money is a floating point type, this is unusual as an operator because I'm adding 1 whole number to my money. So it'll be like 1011 or whatever it would be. Let's check that out. Here it is, 1011 plus 20, right? Still haven't got the precision, digits of precision yet, right? We haven't got to that point yet. I can also put something like this. I can put plus plus here, or I can put plus plus on the other side, right? There's a difference to plus plus money and money plus plus. This is called prefix notation, where the plus plus, the increment operator, is before my money, which means before I do something with my money, increase it by 1. Before I do it. That's what the prefix does. And if I put the prefix afterwards, like this, or this becomes a suffix now, suffix notation says, take my money first, return the value, and then add 1 to it. 2 different things. And it can be used in different ways in the program. Most people won't notice the difference, but there is a difference. And sometimes it'll cause to be a small numeric error if you do some calculations this way. So money plus plus, the plus plus is there. And there's also, of course, if we can do plus plus, there's also minus minus. Minus minus means?
1 out.
Decrement the operator. So it means drop it by 1. Subtract 1 from it. So money minus minus. That's what it means, right? And if I run this, money minus minus, then if you notice, it goes from 1010 to 1009.
So that's it before you actually.
Well, you would subtract it here. So first I add 10 to it, then I subtract 1 from it. That's what it does. And then I add 20 of your money to it, right? That's what I'm doing. So if I want to get precision here, so this is where my dot is. If I do one of this, if I say 0 in here, if I put a 0 next to the index, let's see what happens now, right? It does nothing, right? Because 0:0, right? It still does the same amount of precision. What about if I put 0:2? Like this, does it do something there? Right? My money 2 replaces the money by 2 plus. So that doesn't do it. right? How about the dot? If I put dot 0, 0, like that, does that do anything? I'm playing with you guys, by the way. That just
Whoa.
kills the statement altogether and gives me this really weird error, right? This is the first time we've seen this format exception error, right? It ran this 0.00, but crashed my program. That's our first so-called crash, right? Crash in the program means a line of code stopped, right? Like a catastrophic crash is what it really is. It stops my code from working. Sometimes it'll happen on your phone. You have a smartphone, and you press something else, and boop, the program just stops working, right? That's a crash. And sometimes it happens on our computer. We're playing a game, and all of a sudden, and it'll freeze, right? And then it'll crash. That's a crash. This is what just happened. We just crashed our code. And if you notice, it highlights it. It says there's an error, right? And then I can open this up and try and find out what the problem is. It actually tells me, it says when converting a string, date time, parse the string to take the date before putting it. And I wasn't doing a date, but I was trying to figure out what to do, and it didn't know what to do, right? And that's why I crashed the code. It was an ambiguous statement here. This isn't right. I can stop debugging now. So it'll take me out of here, right? And put it back to the way it was. So how do I format my strings? What's my format specifier for C#? I don't know. I said it here, but I want to go back to Google and say format, string format specifier, C#. And how do I do it? So if I go down to standard numeric format strings, right, and it's good for .NET Framework 4.5, right? If I go through here, it says, here's some examples of how it works, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then in brackets, C, right, gives me this. This is the example, right? Well, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then in brackets, F, right? And then it gives me a floating point number of 0.57, because it's, one digit, 2 digits. Right, so F or F, resulting integral decimal digits with optional negative sign. Right? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.456, G, general, gives me 1, 2, 3.456. Right, so if you notice how it works, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it rounds it up with a floating point. So these are good examples. This is good. How do I use it in my code? Right? Well, here's how it goes, right? Console, write line, value, toString, and I use a C2. I'm converting it to string, right? Here's where it came from. This is my value, right? And I'm converting it to string. I'm using this toString function to convert my value to string, and I'm using this format specifier. Here's how it really is. This is what I was trying to do. Colon, C for currency, and then 2 decimal places. So this right here, from a decimal point value, is the way we want to do it if we want to use currency.
C stands for currency.
Currency.
And 2 stands for
The number of places. So if I use the same kind of idea
the 2 decimals.
and go back to, if I go to the same number idea and go back to Visual Studio and I want to add the same thing, first I got to specify the type. So for my money, here's my money. It's a floating point, so I got to use an F, right? F, and then a 2. And if I do that, then theoretically 2 will be 2 decimal places, which is what I want, because my money should be 1000.00F. Now money is money, which should be currency. Well, let's see what happens when I do this, if this crashes. Oh, hey, look at this. I got my .00 now, right? And then if I want to make it money, I put the C there, and let's see if that works with float. This is a float. It's not a decimal. Oh, I got a $sign with a comma too. It formats my money so it looks like money.
So it's like smart enough to know that
It takes the string and converts it into a dollar value, right? So if I do the same thing, because it's all currency, C2.
So we're working with currency right now, so why don't we do currency from the top?
I am.
Instead of float.
Here I am. There's no currency value. No, there's no data type with currency. The data types are float, double, right, and decimal. Decimal is really big. Float, double, and decimal are just different fractions that I can use with different levels of precision. What was that? Integer is a whole number. I can't use that with money because money has, right. So if I run it, here it is. So 1,009 plus $20 is $1,029. Okay, makes sense? So a little bit more accurate now. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to press another button. Either way, it canceled out.
Now we're talking.
So does that make sense? So this, not only is it a placeholder, but it also acts as a way for us to specify the format of our of the type of integer number that we're sending into making a string. Okay, almost there. So I can almost give you your assignment, so you can make heads or tails of it. All right. So we talked about binary operators. And remember, I talked about this unary operator. Unary operators means a single operator that does a single operation, like the plus plus and the minus minus. There's two. There's the decrement operator. It can be prefix or postfix, and the increment operator, which could be put in a prefix or postfix position. We talked about Boolean variables. A Boolean variable has two values, true or false. That's it. Now, there's also some other operators we can use called a comparison operator. Okay? Comparison operators compare two values. Greater than, equals to, with two equal signs means equals to. This is not an assignment operator. It's a comparison operator. It says, I want to compare 7 and 7. Well, that's true, right? If I compare 3 and 9, that's false. True or false, right? If I say less than, this is the less than sign, 3 is less than 8 is true. 8 is less than 3 is false, right? The less than sign. Greater than sign, same thing. 4 is greater than 2 is true. 2 is greater than 4 is false. Now here's the combination. Less than or equal to. We've seen this in math, right? Less than or equal to. 5 is less than or equal to 5. That's true. It's less than or equal to. And the same thing goes with greater than or equal to. Here's another one. Not equal to. The not sign is a exclamation mark. Not equal to. 5 is not equal to 6. That's true. 5 is not equal to 6. 3 is not equal to 3 is false because 3 is equal to 3. Right? So different operators. Less than, greater than, equal to, less than or equal to, and so on. These are comparison operators. How do we use them? Well, I can use an if statement. Right? And we're not going to get into if statements until we do until we get into things next week. We're going to get next week. We start getting into constructors that are a construct that allows us to compare one item to the other and then do something. Okay? But here's an example of how an if statement can be used. We can say if whatever the value is in here, this is the condition, our conditional, and inside these curly braces, right, is the result. So if this is true, then do this. That's how our if statement looks like. Now we're not going to cover it right now. I want you to see it, and we're going to talk about it again. Was that? How to see it? Okay, I'll show it to you. But again, don't worry about it right now. It's not part of our lesson, but it's there in our notes. If, and in brackets, I say your money, right, is greater than or equal to 10.00f because it's a floating point number, right? Then I use my curly braces. This is my code block. Then I can do this stuff in here. There's a new code block, a new level of code block that I can do that's inside this code block now. And I can put something like this. Well, if your money's greater than 10 bucks, then maybe say something like console.writeLine, right? You've got you have at least 10 bucks. You at least have 10 bucks. You at least have, and then in brackets 0 colon currency, right? 2, right? And then if I wanted to put the value here, I could put it like this: 10 dot 0, 0. I could put that in there and see what would happen. So I can convert this value into a number that's a dollar sign, right? Or I could simply just print this, take this all away, and put dollar sign $10. So you at least have $10, right? Because I can do that as well. It's right there. I don't have to do that interpolation because it's just a big string. So this will be true. This it checks, the if statement checks to see if the condition that I just created between the two parentheses is true. If it's true, then execute whatever's inside this code block. If it's false, skip it. That's what it does. Skip this execution. It's a conditional statement. It may run or may not, depending if what's ever inside the middle of this parentheses is true or not. And the way we tell if it's true is we use the conditional operator to check. So if this is true, if your money is greater than or equal to $10, well, it is true. Look, my money in this particular case, your money, the variable your money is $20, right? And I'm saying if it's greater than or equal to 10, well, that condition is true, which means it'll run. Let's try that, right? So there it is. Your money is you at least have $10. It says, look, you at least have $10 right at the top, right? If I say, let's change the if statement. If your money is greater than or equal to $30, right? So I change the value here. Well, because it isn't, right? Your money right now is $20. And if I say if your money is greater than or equal to $30, then say you have at least $30, right? You have at least $30 to give me, right? You have at least $30, at least have $30 to give me, right? Let's just say, right? And I'll put another little statement in there. I can make as many statements as I want inside the code block, right? I can add some other little funky signs here. There we go. Let's make it more interesting. It's pretty silly. And if I run it, here it is, right? Where's my equals? There's a bunch of it's gone. How come? Because it's not $30. That's why. It's not going to run. Because your money's not more than $30. Now if I change the value of money up here and I make it 50, because I change the value of the variable, now this is true because your money is greater than $30. If I run it, then I get that little thing right here. You have at least $30. Yeah.
What happens? Go back.
Sure.
What happens if you take away $20 and give it to you?
It's just calculations. You're just making a figure it out for yourself. Try it on your own, right?
No, but is it gonna
offset?
Is the if thing gonna go first, or is your deduction of the money gonna go first?
It depends on the order of operations here, right? So I'm doing things in order. My money is 10 plus equals to $10. Then I say my money minus minus. I subtract a buck. Then I go here and I say float my money. Your money is equal to $50, right? And now this is true, right? Float result is my money plus your money, right? And let's say, now I go down here and I say, now I'm going to say your money, minus equals to, let's say I'm going to give you my $30. So here's $30, right? You can do that too. So what am I doing with the minus equals? Well, it's the same thing as the plus equals. It's taking your money and subtracting $30 from it. In one line.
This is a lot more simple when you actually understand it.
I'm glad you understand. See, now your money is $20, right? Because I print out your money before I get to, it starts off at 50. I subtract 30. It doesn't do this because it's less than 50, less than 30, right? And then it prints out 20. The result of your money would be $20 somehow. Right? Because I've done all these operations. And that's why it's important to do things in order. So that's what the if statement does. We'll do more about if statements next week.
I like the if statement.
Type conversion is really, really important. There's two different ways to do it. The implicit way, which means the machine does it for you, right? And the explicit way, which means you do it specifically. I want to convert a double into an integer. Well, guess what? If I take an integer and assign it with the assignment operator to a double, it happens, but I lose there is no precision. It's 0, 0. .00. If I do it the other way around though, like this, a double, and I cast it, I can use this casting, I can use parentheses and the value in front of the variable I want to change it from a double into an int. But what happens when I change a double into an int? A double is a double precision floating point number with two parts. The number that's a whole number before the decimal and the fraction that's after the decimal for math, right? But an integer only doesn't have decimals. It only has the whole number. So what does it do? It takes the decimal and chops it off. And there is no decimal anymore. So if you have all this precision, like example, the value for pi, right? Special value for pi is 3.14159,786, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? If I take pi, the value for pi, and I cast it into an integer, it becomes 3. The 0.141597, whatever it is, 526, that number, it's gone. That anything after the decimal point. If I cast it from a double, so a double, remember, is a bigger number than an integer. A double is 8 bytes, and I'm shrinking it down to 4 bytes. So what am I doing? I'm losing all those 4 bytes of precision. Chopping it off, literally, right? So this is an implicit cast. This happens when I'm doing it automatically. I'm letting the machine do it for me. Here, I'm doing it specifically. I'm making it happen on my own. I'm using a special operator to do that. I'll tell you, when we do this sometimes, we lose precision, right? We lose precision, and we never want this to happen. We never want to use implicit casting, ever. Once we lose control, we give control to the machine to do its own little thinking, right? We might get the wrong result. So we always want to do it this way, explicitly, not implicitly. And you'll hear me say that a lot. We want to explicitly tell the machine to do something specific. We never want the machine to guess what we want and do something that it thinks we want.
Couldn't we also be explicitly using the implicit cast?
We never want to explicitly use implicit casting, ever. Which means we never want to let the machine do its thing for us, ever. Because once it does, we have no control. We do not know 100% what the output's going to be. Especially if you might lose, precision. You might lose the value of what you're trying to do. If I want to, the character data type, right, it only holds one character. And there's some really cool escape sequence characters that we can use, right, that we can store in there. Here's some. For example, this backslash, if I want to actually print out a quotation mark, well, the quotation mark holds the value of a string. So if I put a quotation mark inside a quotation mark, it's going to give me an error. Well, I can use the backslash operator, this backslash quotation mark, to actually output a quotation mark. It's an escape character, the backslash.
It's like space in HTML.
Well,
it's like a code for it.
So in other words, it is a code type character. So for example, if I want to print out hello world, and I want to print out, right now when I do hello world, if you notice, there is nothing around hello world. If I put another quotation mark in here like this by itself, it's going to think hello world is an error, right? It doesn't understand what I'm trying to do here. This is the string, and there's nothing in it. That's what it's saying. However, if I put an escape character, because I want hello world to be encased in quotation marks, and this is how I'd have to do it. I'm reformatting the string so that hello world has quotation marks around it. Now I'm going to print it out. Right? And hello world is going to say hello world, quotation marks, right? I use an escape sequence, right, to put this backslash character to output a character that normally is illegal inside of a string. Similarly, right, there are other escape sequence characters. Single quote, the actual backslash itself, right? A null, an A for an alert, B for backspace if I want to go back, right? And so on. I can control where the cursor is in a string as well. And I can also use a new line character to go down a line, even without using a right line. right? So if I want to use a write, console.write, but go a bunch of lines down, right? Then I can do something like this, console.write, and then inside there I can go \n, 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 right? And \n is a bunch of new line characters, and now I'll have a bunch of separation between the pluses and my money, like this. See? There's a bunch of separation here, and I've done that with a bunch of escape characters, \n's, that push everything down. They give extra new line characters onto my stuff without having to do a console.write line. I can use console.write if I want, and I can send the console a bunch of new line characters. They're escape sequences. They're special characters that tell the console to move things around and format it properly for me. That's all they are. These are all. Okay, they're in your notes, so I'm not going to go over every one of them. I better stop soon, because I got to get to your assignment. Using the string data type. When I use string, I can do comparison operator with values. I can say if, this value is equal to this other value. That works. But you can kind of do the same thing with strings. But the challenge is what you really want to use is this equals method or compare to method when it comes to strings. Let's take a look at some examples. Here's a string. Name 1 is Amy. Name 2 is Amy. Name 3 is Matthew. Well, I can say compare, right? I want to compare name 1 and name 2, Amy and Amy, right? And then here's the result. Name 1 is equal name 2, right? If this is name 2, what is it going to output here in this escape sequence? What does the comparison operator output? Always. Comparison operator is a Boolean operation. It gives you true or false. So that's what it's going to give us. When I say name 1 equal name 2, I'm saying, hey, tell me if the first string is equal to the second string. If it's true, output the value, output true or false. Give me true or false here. And the same thing goes here. Give me true or false down here. And if you notice, you can do the same thing with a bunch of different things, with equals. You can say this. There's a string. The string itself, like the string complex data type, has, because these are all strings, right? I can use the special string class to put name 1, name 2 to compare them. And the string class with the equals method will return a true or false. It's the same thing as doing string 1 equal string 2. But this way we're calling the method of the string class. I don't expect you to remember this right now, so don't worry. We'll go back to it again. We'll circle back on this one, okay? One thing that we want to try and do, I'm just going to go forward for a second because we're going to get back to this, is console input. We did a console read key, right? But we never did a console read line. We did a write line, but we want to be able to read for the console. If I do a console.read line, it takes the whole line that we type in, whatever we put in there to the console, and returns it into a variable or somewhere else, okay? So here's an example of a console.read line, right? So we write out to the console, and then we say, this variable, I'm going to take whatever I write into the console and assign it with the assignment operator to this variable, item price as string. Let's actually call it prompt. So here we have some gobbledygook that we've been working with, playing around, right? Let's get rid of some of this stuff. So you at least have 30 bucks. Let's take this operator away. Let's take some of these values away because we've been just playing, trying to do this adding, subtract, multiplying, dividing, right? We don't need to do any of this stuff. And if you notice, I'm getting some really weird stuff going on down here because I don't have my money, your money, or result. They don't exist. That's why I'm getting all these arrows. I still have my money. Okay, let's get rid of this. All right? But what if I don't even know the year, right? I don't even know the year. And in here, I want to kind of get the year. Well, I want to say, I want to call a new variable, right? So it's going to be called string. It's a string type variable because I'm getting a string from the command line, right? And I'm going to call this variable prompt. It's just a variable, right? Now prompt is going to be equal to what? Console.readline, right? Now there's nothing that it doesn't take any value. It doesn't actually, you don't send anything in here, right? But console.readline reads the console and assigns it to this new variable I made called prompt, right? Okay, well, let's output what comes in from the console. So we're going to say console.writeLine, and we're going to say Q typed, right? And we're going to do some string interpolation, right? Comma prompt. So you type whatever it is you entered. Okay, and let's give another little command here that says console.writeLine enter any value. Right? Enter any value. Now if I do it like this, there's going to be, if I do a console.writeLine, I'm going to get a new line character and then it's going to wait for me at the next line. If I want it on the same line, it's got to be console.write. Right? Console.write will wait, the cursor will wait for me on the same line, which is what I want. Let's try this out. Okay, so enter any value. Look how the cursor is blinking, waiting for me. Hey, come on. By the way, this will wait forever. But the world will burn down, and there will be no sun or stars anymore, and it'll keep waiting for me forever and ever. It's endless. It's in a loop state. But let's say now I'll give the computer a break. All right, and I'll enter a value like like booah, booah, right? You typed booah. It'll take the value that I typed, any characters, and output it again. Okay, so that's what it does. The read line character takes an input from the console. So far we've been doing output to the console. Read line is from the console. And when we read, we take in stuff in. Write, we push stuff out. Right? And so we need to do this for our assignment. We need to be able to read the console. Okay, now we can take it. Right now I've taken this information into the string. What if I want to make this string that we take in, I want to convert it into an integer? How do I do this? Right? Well, I can do a conversion. I can't cast a string into an integer. I can't do that. But I can convert it from string to something else. How do I do that? And there's some really cool little conversions you can use. You can use the convert. The convert method will do it for us. So if I go convert dot and whatever I want to go to, and by the way, there's a bunch of these conversions. Convert dot to Boolean, convert dot to string, convert dot, to int, as an example, whatever I want. Right? These are all the different kinds of conversions that I want. So if I want to enter a number, and I know I'm waiting for a number of, between 1 and 6, it's definitely going to be an integer. If I try and enter, now which integer would work? And regular int, by the way, is int 32. That's the one we want to use for a regular integer. Okay, so if my assignment says enter an integer, right, it means enter an integer 32. That's what it means. So let's try that. So let's try and enter a value, and then we're going to stop now, and then we're going to go to the assignment right away. So here's our value. So I'm entering in this prompt, enter any value, right? And here it says you typed blah blah blah, whatever it says you typed. This is good, right? But now I want to add it to another value. So here's I'm going to declare another value of integer, right? My value, right? And I'm going to add it. Instead of string and prompt, I'm going to call this new value, right? Which is going to be a string. I'm going to rename these things for you for a second. Here's our new value, and here's my value. And I'm going to say int my value, right, plus equals to new value, right? Which means I'm taking this new value that I'm getting from the command line, and I'm adding it in. Well, guess what? I'm getting an error. Why?
Not my value. It's
Here it is right here. I'm just declaring it.
Oh.
The reason why I'm getting an error is because what it says is I expected a semicolon, right? That's what it says. Expected a semicolon. Here's my value. Only assignment, call, increment, decrement, await, and new object expressions can be used as a statement. I can't declare it and
Yeah.
do this at the same time. That's the first thing you gotta understand, right? So if I was gonna do that, I would declare something like this. In here, I might do this, int my value, and let's say I set my value to 0, okay? And then I wouldn't declare it this way, I would just increment it. My value plus equals to new value. But now I get another error. It says you cannot convert string type to integer. Remember? Because remember, the thing I'm getting from my read line is a string. Here it is, right? And I want to add it to an integer. I can't do that because my value is an integer. I got to convert it. And I got to do that by doing this, right? String dot, and then I go to int. Let me just make some space so I get the code hinting. Dot, right? And if I want, or if I want to convert it so it's not string, it's convert. Convert, I'll be okay. Convert dot, right, to int, and I want to do to int 32, right? That's what it is. And I want to put in this new value. Oops. Right? So I'm converting the value that I'm getting from the console into an integer, and then I can add it to my other integer. Otherwise, I cannot. It'll error out. Okay, this is my new value. I want to print out my value. So now console.writeLine, right? I'm going to say my new value is, right? And I'm going to give a string interpolation with, I know it's going to be some kind of integer, so I don't have to put any kind of configuration there, right? And then my value, right? This is good. Now I don't know what my value is beforehand, so I'm going to say, you know, maybe up here, as we're typing, my current value is, and then string interpolation, right? It's placeholder, and then my value, we can do that. So that's the first thing we're going to get. Let's add in a bit of a space, right? A right line. So my current value is blah, enter in any value, you type blah blah, and then maybe I'll put in here console.writeLine. I'm adding it to your value, to my current value, to my current value, right? That's what I'm doing. I'm adding it to my current value, and now my new value is this. Okay, let's put another little separator in here. I'll take this little separator, and then Control C and Control V, just to make it so that it's separated like this, right? Maybe add in one of these other little right lines in there. Don't worry, I'll update this to GitHub in a second. And then let's play. All right, my current value is 0. Enter any value. I entered 10. You type 10. I'm adding it to my current value. My new value is 0. It's 10. Exit. So I've taken 10 and I've added it to my value. Okay, that's easy. But now my value started at 0. Let's start my value at 101, just to make it a little bit more specific. Let's try that out now. Okay, run it. My current value is 101. I add 9 to it, right? Now my value is 110.
Cool.
Make sense? Okay. Take the value, add something to it, spit something else out. Okay. The read line property allows us to read information. Okay, I'm going to update this to GitHub, and then I'll give you your little assignment. I want you to try it on your own before we meet next time. Even if you're not successful, it doesn't matter. I want you, there's 5 little parts to it, 5 little small programs I want you to make. All right, and we'll talk about how to upload and everything next week when we get together on the Wednesday. But I want you to try creating these 5 pieces of code on your own. You can read the PowerPoint presentation if I haven't covered something that you need to do. Okay, or you can look at the book. if you have it. Okay, so demonstrated data manipulation with this project. Okay, and commit. And now I'll go up to GitHub, and I will sync. So now you have all these things that I just wrote down here. You have this code. It's on GitHub for you to get. Okay. Let me take a look quickly at my assignment. I'm just going to snap out of this one for a second, and we go to our assignment. I know time passes fast, man. There's so much stuff we covered, and it's like gone. Time is gone, right? If you look on up on eCentennial, the assignment is there inside the Dropbox. Okay, it's called using data. So here's the assignment right here. Okay, it's due next week. So week 5, Friday, February 6th. Oh my God, it's already February, right? At midnight. At midnight, right? Its value is 5% of your final mark. It's not a big value, right? Plus the 1% from last week from GitHub, right? That's 6% if you get this done right. This is a harder 5% to win, though. Let's talk about it. There's 20 little slices, little marks, where you can get your 5%. And I said, using C# and the Visual Studio IDE, you will write 5 small programs to demonstrate your understanding of using data. Okay, here's the first program. 1, write a short program to prompt the user, I just did it, to enter a single character, though, this time. And the program should display a message like, your response was whatever it was, back to the console. For this question, you must use a variable of type char or char for the character entered. 3 marks, if you get this. Very small little program. Okay. 2, write a short program to ask the user about validity of a simple statement. The program should prompt for the statement, whatever your choice is, whatever the statement you want, and accept the response, right? And then display the statement back to the console as well as the response, right? So, and the response should be either true or false. So a couple of read lines. You're going to read it twice. What's your statement? And is it true or false? True, you put in true or false. And it's going to spit out back to the console, true or false, whatever you put in. It's worth, huh?
It's a hard 5%.
No, it's nothing. It looks like a lot of writing, but really, if you look through it, right, this little piece of code gets you to practice about 5 little times to put some code together, and the code is super simple. If you actually follow it, what I'm asking you to do, it's stupid simple. Like really, all you need to do, and I'm not saying if you couldn't do it, you're dumb. You might make some mistakes. I want you to try it, right? I want you to try this stuff out. Until next week, we'll take it up together. If you come to class and you don't have this tried, like attempted, I can't help you, right? But if you do, I'll help you out. So you can get 100% for Friday, right? But I want you to try it on your own. If I see you've done nothing, I'm not going to help you. Okay? We meet halfway here. That's how it works, right? So here's another one. Number 3, write a short program to calculate the area of a circle. The user will enter the radius. That's what he's entering. He's going to enter a value. It's going to come into the radius variable. You're going to create a radius variable. And the program will calculate the area according to the formula, my new area is equal to 3.14 times the radius, twice. And the result will be displayed to the console. You must accept fractions as the input. So a few difficult things to do. How do I accept fractions as input? How do I accept characters? How do I accept different things from the input? Here's number 4. Write a program to calculate and display the potential difference between the ends of a wire. Don't worry about that. So the user, you have to take the difference between the current and the resistance of the wire. And there's the formula is there. So you say the potential difference is the product times, that's what product means, the current times the resistance. That's the potential difference. That's what it is. So take current times resistance. So you're getting 2 values from the console, and you're taking current, multiplying by resistance, and giving me the result. That's all it is. That's what this is saying. Here's the next one. Write a program to prompt the user for the amount of adult and child prices that she needs. Adult tickets cost $3.75, and child tickets cost $2.25. The program will display a user-friendly message to the console of the number of tickets purchased as well as the total cost. Use the C format specifier for currency, 6 marks. So each one of these little pieces has a certain amount of marks associated with it. So if you get each one of these things perfect, then you get your 20 little marks. That gives you your 5%.
Write one program
want 5 little programs. You know why? You're going to make a project for the first time. You're going to make the project 5 times for me. Why? You're going to learn how to make projects. Because we need to do this. We need to do this lots of times, lots of practice, right? If you don't make these projects lots of times, right? When I come for something more challenging, you're only have to make 1 program. What happens when it comes to a test? I need you to be quick. When it comes to a test, you're going to create that project and do what I'm asking you to do within an hour, right? This might take you a bit more than an hour to do, right? But it won't take you 2 hours. I can knock this off. Like if you read what it says here, maximum a couple hours should be done. This assignment, maximum. I won't even see that if you follow the instructions. If you make mistakes, this is a great time to make mistakes. It's a great time for you not to understand. Because once we get through this and you don't understand, and when we correct everything next week when we get together, then you'll become experts at this kind of thing. And you'll understand how variables work and how you get input and output. If you don't get by this section, the next section will be harder. That whole section of conditionals that we just talked about, these if statements, if you don't understand variables and how they work now, it's going to be hard for you to understand conditionals. So you need to do this for next week. So this is homework, takeaway, assignments due Friday. We'll take it up on Wednesday. We'll go through it, make you guys perfect for Friday. Understood? Cool. And that's it for me.